I serve within the high school ministry and then of course the young adults as well. San Diego native, born and raised in San Diego. I lived in Ocean Beach, Point Loma, and then when I was going into college, I went to Franciscan University, which is in Steubenville, Ohio, and then went to get my master's at Notre Dame, which is in South Bend, Indiana. I've been working for the Archdiocese of Indianapolis for the last couple years, but so glad to be back in San Diego, so glad to be back with family and back at Our Lady Mount Carmel. So it's funny, the year before there was even an opening, I had been visiting home and yeah, we went to Mass at Our Lady Mount Carmel kind of one random Sunday just while I was in town. And I remember going to the parish and being like, this is a thriving parish, this is a welcoming parish, this is just such a fruitful parish, and you can feel the Holy Spirit present here. The next year there was an opening, and that's when I was starting to look for jobs in ministry. And sure enough, that was, I think, where the Lord was calling me to be. I found out that my grandfather knew Father Anthony when he was at Ascension Parish. But then also my father was a parishioner here from like 3rd to 7th grade. And so definitely I think the Lord has been bringing me back, and I'm so glad that I'm here. So I grew up, was born and raised Catholic, so definitely was a cradle Catholic, except when I was in middle school, my family kind of took a step back from the faith and we weren't practicing very regularly. But come high school, I was part of a youth ministry program there and really had a reversion back into the faith, and my family did as well. And then we took the faith very seriously as a family, and that's when I fell in love with the Lord. So I had wanted to be a fashion designer since I was in preschool, and up until my sophomore year of high school, that was the direction I wanted to take. I wanted to live in New York and really pursue that, but it was actually during my confirmation prep time that I had this deep encounter with the Lord, and I thought to myself, if I could have this as a high schooler, I want everybody else to have this as well. And so from my sophomore year on, I decided that that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into ministry, and I wanted to give my life to the Lord. Yeah, I want to give it kind of credit to, of course, God first and foremost, but my grandfather had a huge role within my life as I was going through middle school, and he encouraged me to start going to youth group. And by the time I was in high school, I started going, and I had just this incredible youth minister who had went to Franciscan and had taken the youth ministry very seriously. And so my youth minister, Jamie Cleaton, he invested in me and really inspired me within the faith and called me out into virtue. And so throughout the 4 years, he really continued to invest in me, to disciple me. And by the time I was looking at colleges, that was when I decided that that was the path I wanted to pursue. Saint Theresa of Lisieux has had the biggest impact and influence on my life. She, of course, had just this childlike dependence on the Lord. And I was named after Saint Therese and then took her as my confirmation saint as well. But she is just so humble, but so trusting in God's love and mercy. And so she has had such an impact on my life. I, of course, love my young adults, I love my teens, and I love my families. But one of the biggest joys is actually working with my adult facilitators who just invest in my teens as well. We've been doing something called discipleship groups in which they have their own small group and they are definitely investing relationally into these teens. And just seeing their love for them and their desire for them to grow in holiness and to become saints has just been an incredible part of my time working here. So, why was the Easter Bunny so upset? Because he was having a bad hair day. Great question. I just watched Meet the Robinsons yesterday, and that was a great movie. I hadn't seen it since it had come out when I was young. But I'm reading this book called Conflict of Visions. I'm about like a third way through. I got it as a Christmas present. Yeah, it's really hard to read and really slow in reading it, but it's a great book. So when I'm not working at OLMC, I'm working with a lot of preschool students. I work with a family in particular in which I'm helping homeschool their kids. That's something that I just enjoy is spending time with young kids. But in addition to that, what I like to also do is I go running a couple times a week, and I enjoy that. That's nice to get outside, outdoors. And then I have friends that are across the country, so I like to spend time, make calls to them, and just check in and see how they're doing. But yeah, those are some things that I like to do. When about 7 years ago, I got to go to Rome and Assisi for the canonization of John Paul II and John the 23rd. And that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But definitely getting to go into St. Peter's and really just see the Catholic Church in her history was just an incredible experience, and definitely a pilgrimage that I'm so glad that I got to make. One of my best friends is in County Cork, Ireland, and so I would love to go make my visit out there and go visit Ireland. Definitely Dublin, but yes, just Ireland in general. I would love to see my friend in Cork and check out the countryside.